This is Pismo Beach in Oceano Dunes, the very last beach in all of California where you can drive a car or ride a motorcycle right next to the waves. It is quintessentially Californian, and like the Pacific Coast Highway or Golden Gate Bridge, it is visited by millions of people each year, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in tourism revenue. But the days of riding on a beach in California might be coming to an end.
In a historic vote on Thursday, the Coastal Commission voted to get rid of all off-highway vehicle use by 2024.
Off-roading will be banned at the Oceano Dunes within 3 years.
This was degrading sensitive habitat and was not an allowable use under California law.
In March of 2021, the California Coastal Commission voted unanimously to ban all off-road activity at Oceano Dunes starting in 2024. The only thing that stands in the way of this permanent ban is a series of lawsuits by the nonprofit Friends of Oceano Dunes, an organization dedicated to protecting off-road access in the area.
The Friends of the Oceano Dunes have filed a new lawsuit against the California Coastal Commission.
The Friends of the Oceano Dunes is filing a third lawsuit.
Friends of Oceano Dunes have filed a fourth lawsuit. This suit filed today challenges the California Coastal Commission's effort to close the Oceano Dunes state vehicle recreation area.
All right, so how did this happen? Why does the commission want to ban off-roaders from Oceano Dunes? And what does the future look like for a community that's built itself around and depends upon mototourism? So Oceano Dunes is located here, on the central coast of California in San Luis Obispo County. The designated state vehicle recreation area, where you can go off-roading, extends along roughly 4.5 miles of the beach, with records showing people riding as far back as 1905. Over the decades, tensions have risen between the California Coastal Commission and the California State Parks Department about whether off-roading should be allowed to continue. The Commission points to its responsibility of protecting coastal resources as its overriding authority, while the Parks Department points to their responsibility of maintaining the SVRA designation at Oceano Dunes, which allows for off-roading access. This conflict came to a head in a 10-hour-long special meeting in which the Commission voted to ban all off-road activity at Oceano Dunes.
The vote is unanimous.
Permit adoption and amendments are approved.
At the heart of this ruling were concerns about 1, air quality issues, and 2, the protected habitat of an endangered shorebird. So let's start with this guy, the western snowy plover. There he is. Not only are they objectively adorable, but they're also very much endangered. The Coastal Commission maintains that because Oceano Dunes is home to the snowy plover, it is therefore designated an environmentally sensitive habitat area, and any off-roading activity would need to meet 2 critical conditions. The first condition is that the use be resource dependent. Because there's other off-road parks in the state of California, and because off-roading doesn't require proximity to the shoreline, this first condition is not met. The second condition is that any activity must not impact significant habitat values. And in the Commission's evaluation, they determined that off-roading does cause serious impact to the habitat of the plover. But does it really? It turns out the Oceano Dunes SVRA, that's the group that manages the off-roading riding area, takes their role in aiding the snowy plover very seriously.
Today I'm here at the Oceano Dunes District, and I'm here with my friend Poppy the Plover.
Since 1991, the SVRA has been super active in tracking and protecting these endangered birds. They have a dedicated staff to monitor their population, special fencing to protect their nests, and they'll even shut down parts of the riding area when necessary to keep this critter safe. Altogether, the Oceano Dunes SVRA spends around $2 million annually for the continued protection of the western snowy plover, and all of this effort has been a huge success. Other surveyed nesting areas don't even come close to the same population or hatch rates as Oceano Dunes. There's always a lot of guesswork involved when trying to help improve the odds of an endangered species. But if the last 30 years of research has taught us anything about the plight of the snowy plover, it's that there's no clear correlation between the off-road activity and the bird population. But the real centerpiece, and I'm talking the crown jewel of reasons, why the Coastal Commission wants to ban off-road riding from Oceano Dunes is air quality issues. So your first guess is this probably has to do with exhaust fumes or vehicle emissions. But the concern here is really about dust.
Through dust control measures, dust
mitigation efforts, but you'll see this cloud
kind of go across the sky, this brown cloud that goes all the way across.
The OHV use was causing major air quality issues to the surrounding communities.
The Commission presents its own self-drafted ecological report, which claims that off-road riders disturb the crust of the dune, which releases fine sand particles into the air, which is carried away by the wind. And the San Luis Obispo County Air Pollution Control District agrees that off-roading causes devegetation to occur. And without the vegetation, particulates are more easily swept away by the wind. In other words, it's not the roost of the off-road vehicles that they have issue with. It's more about the breakdown of the crust on the dunes, the devegetation, and the general dune erosion that's happening from off-roading. However, there are other experts out there that disagree with this theory. The California Department of Conservation conducted a geological survey that says the Coastal Commission's ecological report inaccurately describes dune processes and features. The geological survey also points out that according to aerial photographs from the 1930s, there's actually more vegetation in Oceano Dunes right now because of state parks replanting programs than there was in the days before significant off-roading. And the Scripps Institution of Oceanography conducted a study, and they found that inhalable particulate matter is more likely to be caused by natural forces like coastal winds than it is by off-road vehicles. But despite these studies, and all the evidence it presents to the contrary, the California Coastal Commission seems unwilling to reconsider their position on the air quality issue. The truth is that there are even more arguments on the table and a number of lawsuits in the works, both in support and in opposition to their decision. There are questions about whether or not the riding area is explicitly protected in the California Coastal Act. There are questions about the land rights of the indigenous tribes who were here far before any commissions or motorcycles. And there are legitimate debates about whether or not off-roading activity is actually good for the development of the surrounding communities. The California State Parks Department, which oversees the Oceano Dunes SPRA, have made a serious effort to accommodate all of these concerns, especially in their unveiled public works plan that had solutions for many of these issues raised. But it appears that their proposals fell on deaf ears, as the California Coastal Commission already had their mind made up on this matter. The Friends of Oceano Dunes Dan Court looms in the distance, and Pismo Beach's long heritage of beach motoring hangs in the balance. The question is now, will California's court system rule in favor of access for all on this public land, or will another off-road park be lost to the sands of time? This isn't about just one riding area in California. This same story is unfolding in riding areas across the country. It's happening in Utah. It's happening in New Jersey. It's probably happening wherever you live. If we want to keep riding on these lands, we need to be good stewards of them. We need to be aware of our impact, and we need to be respectful to those who call these areas home. But we also need to make our voices heard, and we need the entire off-roading community to engage in the process to keep them open. So today, this is about Pismo Beach and Oceano Dunes. But tomorrow, it might be the park that you love.